CPCU Champion Hour number 3. This week we got Brett Clausen and we're talking mentoring. Let's roll. Here we go.
We're talking about a lot of these things. We're talking about how to mentor.
File that under only the best decisions are made after midnight.
Right. That's right.
Your network is your net worth. Connect with someone.
Episode 3. How about them apples? Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let me pull us out of there we go. We're out of sequence, or maybe we're back into secret squares set up here. How are you two guys doing?
Fantastic. Had a great CPCU I-Day here in Central Illinois. So
congratulations.
Yeah.
How did it go off? Everything smooth or what?
It was fantastic. I have to say, I was laughing, I was crying. It was a great experience. We had some amazing speakers, amazing content, and our keynote, gosh, she just lifted us all up to the heights of I feel like the best that I felt all week long. Let's just say after that day. So
that's
good
awesome.
Time.
Yes, and you got one coming up here, Precious, right?
We do. We are excited. So November 18th and 19th, the Dallas chapter will be having our virtual I-Day, second annual virtual I-Day. So we spread it out so that folks can kind of tap in, hop in and out, according to how their interest and time, permits. So it's that countdown. It's that time.
Yep. And I've seen a lot of announcements for some of the other annual meeting or I-Day type events throughout the country. So looks like everyone's trying to get in a lot of hybrid or in-person. Actually, I think New York's doing in-person, so it should be pretty good. Get some people together and well, especially if you couldn't make the Into Risk. I think a lot of people are going to try and take advantage of the local I-Days if they're doing it in person, but should be really good. All right, cool. Are we ready to roll, Heather, with our first segment of the episode?
We are.
It is the Insurance News Minute.
Hey there, all of you insurance files out there in the world. In the famous rewritten words of Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park, hold on to your keisters, because Lemonade is buying the insurer MetroMile in its first takeover. This announcement came out this week. Pretty crazy news, but I think it's kind of a good mishmash in between these two insurtech startup style insurance companies. And I am excited to see what this takeover is going to bring to the rest of the world. As we all know, Lemonade had a deal to acquire MetroMile for about $500 million, or less than 2 times their in-force premium. That's really beneficial for both companies, and it's said to be a reasonable price. But there are some of those industry analysts out there, they're saying that they don't think that this enhances their profitability chances. So hold on to your keisters. In the, once again, famous rewritten words of Mr. Samuel L. Jackson, I'd like to see where this one goes for sure.
So that is a bombshell. I would love, as one of the people that has at least a bit of insurtech experience, firsthand insurtech experience on her resume in this grouping. I would love to hear Precious's take on this one.
So that is the gold standard. That is really what a lot of insurtech is positioning to do, to acquire, to take over, to be acquired. We are deep into quarter 4, which is M&A season. We don't like to think of it like that, but that's where everyone's kind of evaluating their books, trying to get strategic for the upcoming year. So I think it's a good move. I like to see whenever there's innovation and collaboration. So I'm at the edge of my seat. So I will hold on to my keister, as Heather said, and see how this all pans out. But it's growth. I think this is just a testament that insurtech is not a passing fad. It's here to stay, and we're going to see more of this activity. I would imagine before the end of the year, my prediction is that we'll see more announcements before Q4 closes.
I would think there's a couple of deals yet waiting in the weeds. Definitely, it's for sure. So when I saw this story, I think you even mentioned it when we were going back and forth, Heather. I think you said a bunch of State Farm folks made the move over to MetroMile in the very recent past. I wonder what's going through their minds right now.
I'm just curious because obviously they went from a true pure carrier over to more of like a startup style organization, and that's always an interesting shift. And I've been highly interested in how the insurtech space is going to mesh out, or are they looking for carriers to buy them, obviously, to keep that profitability margin that's always in concern with some of these insurtechs in check, because carriers tend to have that under wraps. Their combined ratios don't sit at 232%, like the said company today, but they are in desperate need as well, though, of all the innovation and product to service capabilities that insurtechs can provide. So I haven't had a chance to touch base with any of them yet, but I'm curious to find out, what their thoughts are on that. Obviously, this is a huge growth opportunity. Lemonade was already, I think that they had already filed to have Lemonade Auto, at least maybe in the state of Illinois. So they were making moves for that. And this is just like a natural progression. And MetroMile has it down with a lot of data in that usage-based insurance world. So it'll be interesting to see what else happens, as you say, Precious, because this is M&A time of the year that tends to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more news about this.
Yeah. The one thing that crossed my mind too was having come from a banking background, was there's two ways this could go, right? It could be Lemonade, like you said, bringing on the tech in order to continue the growth trend, continue to attract, not just investors, but also continue to, grow the premium base, and really kind of find some synergies between those two organizations. Or the other thing, and this, I don't know if this is true or not, but sometimes, there can be an acquisition before the bigger acquisition, right? And so that pricing is very interesting. None of us were inside on the negotiations, so we don't know what was included in, whether or not there can be a merger or an acquisition immediately after or not. But that is very interesting, extremely price competitive acquisition on Lemonade's part. So yeah, it'll be fun to see where it goes. So this is round one, man, of mega insurtech finance going on here.
Yeah, and insurtech, hands down, most insurtechs tend to be leaner. They're more agile. They can pivot. They have the tech stack. They have the research and development capabilities that, that's kind of what we've seen is they kind of go forth as the canary in the cave. And if they survive, they get picked up. And so again, this is a smart move. Lemonade, again, historically, their, focus has always been property. And so they don't have the underwriting expertise. They don't have the tech in the auto space. And so that's the decision, right? Do we either recreate the wheel or do we buy some wheels?
Yep. No
and we
kidding.
saw what they chose to do.
Yep. So I will definitely keep tabs on it. We'll see where it goes. I'm sure this is not the first time, nor will it be the last time the three of us have discussed Lemonade and some of the other insurtechs out there. So I'm sure it will be a common theme moving forward. With that being said, it is now Precious's time for upcoming events.
So, speaking of seasons, it is that time of year where there are conferences to abound. There's lots of information out there. My household has tapped into the Christmas spirit early. So, as far as upcoming events, we decided that we're going to extend the holiday season mode. But, in the insurance front, there's so many things that we could tap into, especially now that we're virtual, opportunities that we may or may not have been able to leverage. This is at the click of a button. You can enter a Zoom room, hear a fantastic speaker. So we are still in the month of November, which is for many chapters across the country, I-Day season. So please continue to stay connected, interact. There are a lot of chapters that are promoting their upcoming events there. Follow one another on LinkedIn, Facebook. There's so many different places, Twitter, where you can kind of hear and see all the different I-Days that are coming forth and their fantastic lineup. So we did want to, I don't know if you can share it on the screen or not, Matt. Again, Interact is probably going to be your best single source of info for the society-sponsored events that are coming up. So there is a roadshow that is done on a monthly basis that is, again, it's on the horizon. We're in November, rolling into December. And so go there, find out more about, what's being shared now that we're, focused on this. Oh, yep, here we go. We built this city. So with the expansion, strategy for the society, find out what that means for you, find out how you can help, lean into this initiative, support this initiative. Register today. Registration, of course, is free, is virtual. So we definitely want to keep our finger on the pulse, tap in, hear what's going on. But again, in the Interact side, if you're not already on there and registered, do it like yesterday, because that's where you're going to find out about most of the events that are coming up that are available to all of us. So yeah, 'tis the season. We're here. It is officially November, and there's lots of info to be shared. So stay connected.
And a reminder to everyone, go to the brandy spanking new events tab on the CPCU Society website. There's tons of stuff on here. We were talking before we went live, and I got a couple of invites already for meetings for the Leadership Summit. And it's in Las Vegas, y'all. Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah. Give me snake eyes. Come on.
So we know where to find Matt.
Yeah. I am looking forward to that, especially having missed Into Risk. So you better believe I am not missing the Leadership Summit in late April. I think, what do they say, the 28th and 29th in Las Vegas at the Flamingo. Is that where it's being held at? The Flamingo Hotel. So that should be an absolutely fantastic time. And yeah, I've missed the in-person leadership summits, because in the past, I think we've talked about this, but a lot of like that personal interaction aspect of it, it's a more intimate version of the annual meeting. And you really kind of get to like, even, get those relationships and go even deeper in terms of talking strategy and talking about, opportunities to improve things for your chapter or just in your personal professional life. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Are either of you Las Vegas people?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I was like, I cannot confirm or deny.
I cannot confirm or deny.
All right. Well, we will allow you to hide behind a veil of anonymity on that one.
I will be a Vegas person April 28th.
That's true.
Exactly. I know that they've confirmed InsurTech Connect is going to be in Vegas again in 2022. So I think that might be twice that I visit the city in a year. So we'll hope that both of those are, winning trips.
Hopefully you offset the cost of attendance.
For my network.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. I know that our guest is chomping at the bit here. I don't want to keep him on hold too long. I have one more segment. I promise I will keep it quick. It is the trivia question of the week. So for this week's trivia question, and let me remind you, you can enter your answers in the comments, and we will draw some swag from the people that actually come up with some correct answers. You can Google them if you want, but you know what? If you don't want to cheat, you can actually answer the question off the top of your head and see if you get it right. But we're not going to be, checking notes or anything like that. So in the vein of this week being mentoring and who our guest is and what we're going to be talking about, the trivia question is, we already know that about 3/4 of Fortune 500 companies have mentoring programs. But of all of their professionals, what percentage actually have a mentor type relationship? And I'll give you some options here to make it easy. So is it 10%? Is it closer to a third, 33%? Is it 50%? Or is it 75% of those folks working for those Fortune 500 companies, 3/4 of which have an actual formal mentoring program? So hopefully this answer also kind of brings some edification in terms of the opportunity that exists here in the world of mentorship, especially professionally. And one thing also to remind you all, while you are answering the trivia question, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this. Help us share this information and this publication, this broadcast, with as many insurance professionals as possible. A huge thank you in advance for doing so. So I'm not going to ask you for your takes on what you think the answer to the trivia question is, but do you think it is a large number of professionals that actually have a mentor relationship, or do you think it's on the south side of 50%?
I'd go with south side of 50%, actually, because a lot of people don't recognize the power of a mentoring relationship and many times don't know how to access it.
Interesting. What's your thoughts, Precious?
Yeah, I think I'm with Heather. I think that it's a lower number. I think that in this very social media savvy, time that we're in, that I know a lot of us follow content for people for inspiration and things like that, but an actual like formalized relationship, I don't know if many people are taking that extra step to set those up. So I'm thinking less than 50.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to see how the answers come out in the comments. And like I said, you could win yourself some CPCU Society swag. So definitely take a shot at it, even if you're not, fully, if you don't fully know which one is probably the right answer. But so anyway, that being said, we are on to our guest for this episode. And it is my pleasure to invite on someone who's had a week full of CPCU or continued to be full of CPCU this week. And, them's the breaks when you are someone who is the cornerstone of a lot of the ongoings and the committees and things like that happen at the CPCU Society level. So with that, I am introducing Brett Clausen as our champion profile this week. Brett, how are you, sir?
Hey, fantastic. Thanks for having me on, Matt.
It is our pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time. We know you're busy. For anyone who is not familiar with you, whether they are within the society or just an insurance professional kind of joining us for the first time, just 1 minute elevator pitch. Who are you? What do you do professionally? And then what do you also do for the society?
Yeah. All right. So professionally, I work for Farm Bureau Financial Services. So I've been with our company for just a little over 31 years. I've been involved in all aspects of our operations here with claims underwriting, operations, and then now I've sunk myself into a new role, which is involved in government relations as well as process improvement for our companies. On the society level, since 99, when I got my designation, I've been pretty active with the local chapters. Currently, I serve as the Secretary Treasurer on the Leadership Council and on the Executive Committee as well. But during that time between 99 and where I am today, had the opportunity to be engaged in a few chapters. I've been located around Arizona and Iowa and Nebraska, so was active in all those chapters. And also had the opportunity to be governor. So really enjoyed being governor of the Mountain States region. So I had 4 chapters that I was in charge of there before heading on up to the Leadership Council. So that's a quick run over of my experience there.
I don't think anyone could accuse you of not putting in as much as you're getting out. I'll tell you that much. Maybe I should have asked you, what haven't you done at the society? I can personally say, as someone who is just now ending a tour as a regional governor, Brett's incredibly involved with a lot of the governors that are out there helping out the chapters. And so I think you do fantastic work as far as that goes, in addition to your other, capacities that you're working in for the society over the years. But so we want to talk about mentoring, and I'll ask you one more question, kind of set the table, and then I'll shut up and let Heather and Precious have at you. But in terms of mentoring, what's just your kind of like general perspective on mentoring and mentorship, and then what's your take, like your feeling of of the direction that the CPCU Society is heading in terms of mentoring and mentorship?
Yeah, that's a couple of great questions there. Mentoring in itself, I was interested listening to your reaction on your trivia question to see what everybody was saying about the involvement, engagement, and mentoring. I think it's probably one of those more underutilized opportunities and values that people pass up. I really do. I think there's a great opportunity there, both personally and professionally. And that's really why when I was a chapter leader in Arizona, leading that chapter there, that's why when I took a look at the membership roles, and this is a jumbo chapter, large size chapter, we're 500 members at that point in time. So it's not like we were dying. We were actually thriving. And we've always done very well in Arizona. But when I took a look at the roles and the opportunity about sustaining that in the long term, I was looking down into the amount of individuals and opportunity we had that were in the testing phase. Okay, they were working towards their CPCU designation. We had over 500 testing in Arizona alone.
Wow.
And so I'm like, the bells and whistles are just going off. How do we get these people engaged? How do we reach out to let them know that says, hey, we got a professional society that you really need to be a part of? And so we took that idea and we said, let's start mentoring. Let's reach out. So I took 25 people, said, give me 25 people. And I said, let's take that 500 and knock it down so you each have about 20. And just make a personal contact that said, hey, I see you're taking your exams. I'm with the Arizona chapter. Can I answer any questions you have? I'd just like to introduce myself. And so what we did is and if they said yes, they set up an in-person meeting and we gave them a $5 gift card to Starbucks so they go buy them a cup of coffee, right? So they had a coffee or something just to say, let's get them engaged, but I want to personally see you, because there's something to that interaction, right? That human interaction personally, instead of getting an email and say, hey, sign up for this, right? So that's kind of how this idea started. And then from that aspect, I got invited to a PERG meeting, which is a professional experience resource group meeting. That was an interest group back in the day. So I got invited by Jeff Bronaugh to attend this meeting because he was interested in what we were doing, because the society was looking at how could we implement some type of a mentorship program? How could we take advantage of that? Because it really answers 2 critical challenges that any organization has, and that is growth and that is retention, right? So this program tackles both of those because it's for everybody. Everybody can get engaged, right? So I got invited to that meeting, and then guess what happens when you get invited to a meeting? You get in charge of the initiative. So, hey, there we go. So I had the opportunity to work with that group to launch our original mentorship program back in 2016 when we rolled that out, and the platform. So we learned a lot from that, and it continues on. And so now with the new launch of Interact, we have a new format design that's on the website. So still active, great opportunities.
Awesome. All right. I'll pitch the mic over. I'll send the talking stick to Heather. Uh, what do you want to pick Brett's brain about in terms of mentorship?
So Brett, I know that obviously the society is looking towards the academic space today, to
Mhm.
really attract, membership in academia into our world and really make that connection in between risk management and insurance programs back to the society. So, what recommendations do you have for those who work in the academia world, in helping to get college students connected to local chapters for mentoring opportunities? And have you had any experience with that in some of the chapters that you've been
Yeah.
involved in?
Well, that's a great question, Heather. And yeah, what another experience we had is with at the same time, around that same time frame, what we found out in Arizona specifically is that the Gamma Iota Sigma chapter was no longer together. It was disbanded years back. And what we did is we reached out to Arizona State University at that point in time, got a hold of the business department. We end up with the actuarial department, believe it or not. But we re-engaged that. We actually paid for them to get their members up and running with that society again. So we had this connection, right?
Yeah.
And so we started there, and then we invited them into our meetings. So we actually brought them in, and then we also participated in their meetings as well and provided coaching or provided interviewing, so interview skills. So we actually let them interview with us as they were going in for jobs. So preparing them too. But the biggest thing there was getting them aware of our industry and the opportunities is the big thing, right? It doesn't matter what part of academics you're in. We do it in insurance, right? We can take just about anybody. We got a job for you. So it's really just building upon that. So finding those, it's community college level, whether it's the university level in your area, but reaching out to them and just making them aware of the opportunity in our industry. And that's a great way just to get started.
So my question for you is more focused on capacity, and so kind of piggybacking off of the theme for the upcoming meeting about we built this city, and if we build it, will they come? Do you think that it's more beneficial to have enough mentees to drive demand for mentors, or vice versa? And then how do you address the time commitment? So I guess context for that question. The last time I traveled and I did ride share, I was really blown away at the ability to customize my ride. So I could decide, did I want conversation or not? I could decide, did I want the air conditioning on, right? So I got to dictate how I wanted that relationship to work. How can someone on either end of the spectrum, a mentee or a mentor, go into a program, but also kind of set some parameters around their bandwidth and their availability to participate?
Yeah, great questions, Precious, and thank you for those. I'm going to start with the mentor-mentee relationship. And what we found, and what I find time and time again, is that the mentee is to drive this relationship, right? The mentor is there to assist and help build that relationship and that trust, right? But it takes that mentee to step up because it's for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the challenge that we found early on was that the mentees are hesitant to reach out to someone that they're not familiar with. We have a global network in the CPCU Society. If I want to, for example, if I want to learn more about claims, for example, I can bring up who's the professionals in claims has expertise, and I can find them, but am I going to reach out to them not knowing them? I haven't met them personally yet. So we found that there was that initial hurdle, and we even found that at the local chapter level. And so actually we found that the mentor sometimes would encourage them, and it's easier to do on a local level, a local chapter level, because you're within proximity and can have a more localized experience. But from a global level, they just don't feel comfortable reaching out and say, hey, Precious, don't know who you are, but my God, you're an expert, and can you help me out, right? That's difficult for some people to get over. So I encourage it, if it's not moving, from a mentee perspective, after that awareness is given, then to start reaching out with just an initial contact. Say, hey, you hit our website. I know you're interested. Is there something I can help you with, right? Some way in that nature. So now you're going to have to remind me about part 2, because I get really excited about talking about this. I lose trains of thought and I'll go in all directions.
So that was the level and the degree of availability, because I think, we all share the desire to want to help,
Yeah.
but we also have to balance that along with our other responsibilities, home, work, life, whatever the case may be. So what is I have not been, I'll admit publicly, onto the new platform in terms of signing up to be a mentor, but to encourage more participation, how much customization is available in raising your hand?
Yeah, we've simplified it significantly. When a traditional mentorship program comes with a partnership agreement, okay, so you establish how are we going to meet. It could be, are we going to be social through a social media, contact by that email, etc. Are we going to hold phone calls? Is this going to be face to face? How often do we want to meet? How much time do we want to meet as well? So setting those expectations early on that relationship is really critical. In our prior program, we actually had a formal mentorship agreement that said this was going to be a 6-month experience. After that time, you had the option to carry on after if you wanted to. And there was a formal partnership agreement you had to sign and turn in and agree as individuals. That was a way for us to kind of make sure and to provide a little bit of oversight that this was really happening, and it give us some additional feedback that we could learn from. And then we found out real quickly, people don't like paperwork, right? And they don't like systems. They don't like more systems, right? Another thing to do, right? So we knew we had over 400 engaged, but they weren't good at documenting their agreements and the types of meetings we have. So from a traditional standpoint, it's good to have some type of agreement in place, whether it's a formal written agreement or just agreement that let's just agree about what those terms of this commitment is right now, because that's very important, right? We're all busy, and it shouldn't take a lot of time on either party to get to the meat of what we're trying to solve here. So it's kind of evolved now. So we have this open network, right? We got this global society. You can sign up to be a mentor or a mentee or both, but that doesn't commit you immediately into a relationship. Someone still has to take that step to commit. So there's really a couple ways to do this. One is we suggest on the site, I believe, a 6-month commitment, meet at least once or twice a month. It's usually not more than 30 minutes or 30 minutes to an hour. So from a mentor standpoint, that's your engagement level. The mentee needs to take time to prepare, right? And in advance, what am I going to try to get out of this session? I want to let my mentor know in advance of what I'm going to try to, bring up with questions of him, so he can kind of in the back of his mind, he or she kind of figure out how I may help this individual along too. We also have the availability with now, all of our 15,000 plus global members. You can actually set up what we call flash mentoring or a one-time session. Hey, I have this one issue I'm really tackling right now. Would you be able just to talk with me for a little bit about this and just help me through this particular scenario? So what I find a lot is through the relationships that we gain through this society, there's a lot of mentoring going on. We're just not formally tracking it, right? But keeping that awareness and keeping it in front of everybody is so critical, because it's free. It is a free mentor session, right? If you go out and buy a mentor, it's not going to be free, right? You're going to go buy someone's time. It's usually not free. But here we have all the expertise, in the industry within our network, and that needs to be tapped. It's really an underutilized and probably an unknown value proposition that's out there that people aren't taking advantage of.
So my next question, Brett, would be how do you see the society leveraging this with the membership changes that we have today?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the number one challenge, right, with this program, how do you get it going and actually execute it? And that's going to take that awareness again. It's out there. We throw it out there. It's on that platform, but you're not going there on a daily basis, right? So we need that commitment. It's going to start at the grassroots level. That's where it should be, right? Because that's where our opportunity, the big opportunity, lies at that grassroots level, because that's all the incoming new CPCUs. That's all of our new members that are now part of our organization. So getting those roles of members that we now have, getting those to the chapters or those people that can take advantage of that and then work it from that level. So that grassroots is very important. There's another key component to that, and that is our sunsetters. Those are that retiree section, right? Look at that talent, and they are just jumping for an opportunity to get back engaged. They want to help. They want to leverage their experience to this society and also being part of the growth that's going to come from these next few years. A lot of exciting plans, but we're not talking about the strategic plan today, which we're just talking about mentoring, but it's a big component of that, Heather. I think you can see that opportunity that's going to provide as we build these new members, especially from a student, academia, pathways members, and also the retirees. So it's a win-win situation for all members.
Yeah. And I'll just tag in and say from personal experience, when you mentor college students, they actually mentor you most of the time. It becomes a reverse mentoring relationship. In that instance, I have learned such a tremendous amount from engaging with college students today, because their worldview of what the insurance industry is so very different from what mine was. And because they are going to enter a new world when they step into the working world. So that I would definitely give you as an encouraging point, because you will get so much more out of a relationship by mentoring on that college side than you ever have to ever give into it, I would think.
Yeah, that's a great point. Reverse mentoring. I can't think of one relationship that I've been in that I probably have learned more than they have. And it's helped me become a better leader to understand what their concerns are, right? You build some good listening skills, and in the back of your mind is, man, what a piece of gold that is, right? And just to leverage that. So you're right, mentors, we gain more. I hate to say that, we probably gain just as much as or more than the actual mentee in that experience. So great point.
So I have a follow-up question in regards to, like I said, not to touch on the strategic plan, but this mentorship effort specifically. So it's really important that obviously there be a healthy representation of mentors that are available, so that as mentees are seeking out someone that maybe can relate to, kind of where they are in their journey or the obstacles that they face. And so has there been any thought or anything intentional with engaging like the idea committee, when it comes to the diversity aspect and making sure that we've got a variety of mentors available for mentees to connect with?
Yeah. And what we've done, and this goes back to this last inter-risk conference that we just had in Orlando as well, right? Career conversations. That's mentoring, right? So that's our foot in the door. And we started that years back when we initially got started with this program, as we introduced it at the annual conference, right? The inter-risk, by just those mentoring circles, what we call them, right? I'm a leader in the society, or I'm an expert in this particular area. Come join me for a cup of coffee at Starbucks during this meeting, or a particular room or whatever, and have a career conversation. And when we did that for the first time, it was amazing. And the results, the survey results that we got out of that were the highest marks out of the entire conference, was the career conversation. Over 95% in agreement that this was a value proposition. And there was about between a 60 and 70% response rate that said, I plan on continuing to use mentoring down the road as a result of this conversation. So that's where the society, we have to get engaged at those opportunities, right? Whether it's at the Leadership Summit, whether it's the Inter-Risk Conference, but it's those main gatherings, it's got to be brought up. That's where the majority of people are going to be in attendance, right? And that supports really the chapters engagements, right? Or the interest groups or the committees. Because how do you grow those committees? Well, you ask, right? You reach out to someone, say, hey, you would be a great representative for this committee. Start mentoring them, right? And that's just another way to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, hey, Brett, I have a question for you. Do you have a particular champion that you'd like to recognize, or maybe a mentor in your life that you'd like to tell us a story or maybe give some thanks to?
It goes back, and I was fired up when I got my CPCU designation, right? Just like everybody else is. And so what do you do then, right? And I can tell you, she probably doesn't know this. I've talked to her on several times, but I attended a leadership summit, which back in the day was called the National Leadership Institute. And believe it or not, it was in Las Vegas. So you know what happens in Vegas stays in. But I'm going to tell you that I wasn't at the slot machines. Back in that day, I took a facilitative leadership course from Cindy Barway. And if you know Cindy, just a dynamic individual, a past president of the society too. I attended that session and I still am in contact with her today. I had so much fun, but I learned so much. And when I have some big questions, or if I need to really mull over something, I know I can trust Cindy, right? So occasionally she'll get emails from me or calls, and we'll go back and forth. And I have a lot of champions in this society. And I think that's another just benefit is there is so much expertise to take advantage of. For example, when I'm interviewing for the Leadership Council, I probably reached out to 4 or 5 past presidents that I knew that I had met before. Mike Kazelny for one, right? I mean, that's an individual that I reach out to from time to time, said, hey, what's going on here? Can you help me through this thing like that? But there's such a big team there, right? I mean, there's so many people I need to thank because, believe it or not, they're my mentors whether they know it or not, and not officially, right? But that's just the way you build those relationships, right? That's that network. And then you can kind of piece out as like, man, if I have this issue, I know this is the expert. But that's just something that you build over time. But there's a lot of champions, I mean, that I could recognize. And I apologize that I didn't recognize them all.
So somehow I wonder, is there like 19 of Mike K and they're all like running all over the place? Because it's like everyone we talk to, they're always like, Mike K's at least like top 3 in their list, if
Absolutely.
not, top 2,
Like he's like Michael Keaton in that Multiplicity movie. But Mike K doesn't have a Steve, right? Didn't he have
What was his line? I ate a dolphin. No. You petted a dolphin.
I like
I'm actually I'm gonna flip it on you, Heather, and you, Precious. I know you both have shared certain people in the past. Mike K is not, like, he is a good answer, but he's not an eligible answer for this one, okay? For both of you, have you had a mentor in your life that has really kind of helped you out, whether it be over a long period of time or even just kind of like in a short little burst within your career and kind of helped you out in that way?
I'll let you go first, Precious. Go
Thanks, Heather. No, I kid. So the very first CPCU I ever came in contact with works for State Farm Insurance, and we were in fire claims at the time. And he was actually one of the supervisors that interviewed me, hired me, and I went to go work for him on his team. So Zuriel Loera, he's down in Austin. And so we were the first to have the conversation about just my career approach. At that time, I had worked in an agency for a number of years. I was new to claims. And, we were talking about, kind of my growth trajectory and what I would do. And so he gave the blessing, for me to begin my CPCU journey. So as time went on and some different things happened within the organization, I moved from claims to underwriting. And when I was in the underwriting, that was when I hit my official roadblock. Everyone has that one exam that was like their nemesis. And for me, it was 520. Actually, everyone else, like 540 is what I hear most often, but 520 was my stumbling block. And so I, of course, didn't pass by a hair, and I was devastated because at this point I was already over the midway, mark, and I was well on my way and tracking well for Hawaii. And so that was, I thought, was going to be the end of the road for me. So I get an email from him, because we're in different departments, different parts of the company at this point. But he thought enough of me to reach out and was like, "Okay, are you still on track? Are you still Hawaii bound?" I said, "No, Z, I dropped the ball. Like, I disappointed you." And he says, "Absolutely not. Like, dust yourself off, lick your wounds, put that one on the back end, go take another test." And so that's still to this day, that strategy, right? That he reached out, he thought enough of me, he encouraged me, got me back on track, and the rest, is history, so to speak. I'm still in contact with him on social media. And so every time I do something noteworthy, I kind of tag him. I'm like, "This is for you, Z." So, so he was the very first thing. I never even heard of it before I went to work for him, but that was the indelible mark in my career. And if I have the opportunity to pass the torch and pay it forward, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll take this a little bit of a different direction, because I have several people in my life that I would consider to be mentors, and not many of them were actually involved in my CPCU journey, except one of them. We kind of did the CPCU journey together. So, but the first one is Joanne Pickle. Because when I started out in insurance, I came in wide eyed, not knowing anything at all about it, other than the little bit of insurance knowledge that I got from running a preschool for like 9 years of my life. And I knew a lot about HR, and I knew a lot about dealing with employees, and I knew a lot about education, but I knew and a lot about conflict resolution, which is a very good skill in insurance, by the way. But I came in not knowing anything at all. And Joanne was just the most welcoming person in a world that I didn't understand. And I started working for a gigantic corporation, but she made me feel like I was part of the family, because she took me under her wing and she said, "Here you go. This is how you do this. This is the path that you walk. It's not as hard as you think it's going to be." And she encouraged me every single step of the way. And and we have built like a lifelong friendship out of the fact that she reached out to me in that manner. And there's so many people that were involved in those first years of my insurance journey that I could give a shout out to. But I will say, and all of you on this call know that like I've experienced like some insane changes in my life in the past 4 or 5 years. I have moved a total of 4 times, and I have had 6 different jobs in a very large company. And when I moved, I had a disparate life situation. Like I moved to Dallas for a while, and my husband was still living in Oklahoma. My daughter, who was still in the house and not out of the house yet, was still in Oklahoma. So there was a lot of like personal turmoil things that were going on. I was traveling back and forth from Dallas, and then upheaval happened again, and I had to make the choice to move all the way up to Illinois. And I will say that I had built a relationship with a manager that I had worked underneath for a while at State Farm. And that person is Sally Sadlow. And she's a CPCU as well. She's been a CPCU for a really long time. She has like 36 years of insurance experience, just a fantastic person. But she stood beside me and just mentored me through some really, really hard times. I mean, I was living up here alone, trying to figure out how to like navigate a world that I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? I have never lived in a place where a community like this, where everything is the company. And it was a challenging time, but she brought me through all of that and taught me how to navigate all of that. So gigantic shout out to her, because she walked me through some times that I never thought. There was times I was thinking like, yeah, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to make it through this. But she's like, no, you can do this. I know you can do this. And here's how. And here's how I can help you walk through it. So those two people definitely have been huge influences in my life.
I've loved all of those stories are fantastic. My mentor was not a CPCU, or the one I'm going to recognize. There's been a bunch of CPCU mentors, but the gentleman that I essentially mentored under as a broker, as a sales type person, did not have a CPCU, but he saw the value in me having the CPCU because part of our relationship was he taught me relationship-based selling, and he got to lean on my subject matter expertise. And so it was a very good give and take. But that ability to get a client to feel like you're indispensable as, not just the insurance broker, but just as a, as a professional relationship was, it was worth, I could never repay how valuable that tutelage was. And like I said, while he wasn't a CPCU, he definitely was someone who saw the value in it. Because of that kind of collaborative relationship we had. So to Dominic Snelly, I know he's probably not going to watch this because he's probably outselling someone on something, but I appreciate everything that he did for me when I was coming up in the insurance industry and completely green. So all right, Brett, I'm going to give you. We have a couple of questions that we ask people that are not necessarily insurance related, or they don't have to be insurance related, as just kind of a get to know you kind of thing, and also a way to kind of like, stretch your creative juices a little bit. All right. The first one's a little bit more tame. So the first one is, what are you currently studying or reading? Or it can also be something that's more of like a diversion and entertainment type thing that has captured your, if you're Netflix binging something at the moment, that is also fair game.
Oh, wow. Well, from that side of it, Ted Lasso, that was a series on Apple that was the most recent series I think I've watched from start to finish. Yeah.
All right, awesome. And all right, this one's a little bit more out there. All right. If there was a movie that was made of your life, what genre would it be? And who would you want to play you in that film?
Oh, boy. What would this be? An action thriller, maybe?
Oh, it could be. It could be. If it was an action thriller, who is Brett Clausen in the action?
Yeah. Whew. Who would play me? That's a great question.
Heather put a recommendation into the chat. I want to see if you come to the same conclusion.
Yeah, Bruce Willis. Yeah, Bruce Willis. How about Chevy Chase, right?
Chevy Chase. Yeah, Chevy Chase is pretty good. Yeah. Bruce Willis would be fantastic as well. I can definitely see a Die Hard reboot starring Brett Clausen. I would love that. All right. I want to thank you again, Brett. Thank you so much for your time and coming on to speak about something that is just probably one of, if not the most important aspects of being part of, quite frankly, any professional association or society, but especially the CPCU Society. So I want to thank you and all the work that you did to kind of, revamp the program and get it to the point where it is right now. I want to give you the final word. Anything else that you want to impart in terms of the mentorship program or the opportunities that exist within the society right now?
Well, I'll close with just one quote, since it's kind of a movie guy, Denzel Washington, one of the quotes he gave. But before I do that, I just want to sincerely thank all three of you for being leaders in the society as well. And the impact that you have is phenomenal. I can't thank you enough for that. So keep on keeping on, because this is a lot of fun. And if you ever need a filler, you got my number, right? So yeah,
you got it.
Let's just finish with this quote from Denzel Washington. He says, "Show me a successful individual, and I'll show you someone who had real positive influences in his or her life. I don't care what you do for a living. If you do it well, I'm sure there was someone cheering you on or showing you the way. A mentor."
That's fantastic. I love that. I love that.
Thank you again for having me on.
Yes. Final notes, Precious, Heather, anything? I mean, that was pretty deep to end. So I don't know. What do you got?
I don't think I can top Denzel. So.
Yeah.
How do you go behind that?
I will try and throw in an additional plug on the screen. I have the hyperlink. If you are listening to this and not watching, definitely check out the CPCU Society MentorMatch program that is on the website. And like I said, I have the hyperlink down here at the bottom of the video. So definitely check that out and sign up for it. You will get value out of it, whether it's as a mentor or as a mentee. It is, like I said, a crucial aspect of being part of this organization, building your network, and also improving your professional prospects and career, and even how happy you are with where you're at or the direction that you're moving in. So definitely keep that in mind, and please hit that up. Brett, thank you again for the millionth time. I can't thank our guests enough when they take their time out to come on. And as usual, Heather Precious, thank you so much for helping out and being here all the time, and probably staying away from your families for yet another 45 minutes here before dinner. So thank you again. And that's it, episode 3. Peace.
I think these videos are brilliant, and I'm sure you will like them too. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification bell.